This week, we talk NXT, what's the worst finisher to take, halftime heat, and why wrestlers can't clean up after themselves. Welcome to Staring at the Lights with Rob, Tom and Ethan.
Hello.
I
Alright.
suppose there's been quite a lot going on with like the NXT UK stuff recently as well, hasn't there? With like Walter's
All sorts, mate. Let's just shoot the shit.
yeah.
Yeah, mate. I watched the I didn't watch it live because I was driving home and I was knackered. But the halftime heat show they did.
Oh, okay,
during the Super
yeah.
Bowl. Yeah. I thought it was a cool idea.
Yeah, I've
Better
seen it
than
go
that
down really
pish.
well.
Yeah,
They've done
Maroon
it better
5.
than they did it years ago, didn't they? With like Mankind and The Rock in an empty arena, whereas this time it was at the performance and
Oh,
then
they
there was a
did do
crowd.
That
there.
was
Yeah.
halftime heat. Yeah.
They did do that.
That's, yeah, and they did it this time with a crowd there, and a lot of the NXT guys
Did they
were
film it
in
at the
the
Madison
crowd.
Square Garden on Christmas Day? Is that what that was? Because there was like a tag match, weren't there, that was announced for Christmas Day at Madison Square Garden, or like Boxing Day.
No, they did it recently because it was shot at the same time because they went live on Instagram at the same time the Super Bowl was playing, so they're actually wrestling through the halftime show. So it was live.
Really?
Yeah, this year they did. Yeah,
it was
There's an
yeah.
actual
legit
crowd
live.
there.
But yeah, it was at the performance centre.
Because
I mean, there was only like a couple of hundred there, and a lot of them were the NXT guys. They showed like Montez Ford was in the crowd, and
Really?
Tanara
Oh,
Conte was in the crowd, and
Didn't know that.
stuff like that. So there was a crowd there. But when they did it years back with Foley and Mankind, it was just in an empty arena, and
I love that match.
Great match, yeah.
you just hear them kind of shouting at you,
grunting, yeah.
and it's just
They
kind
go
of
to like the concession stand, don't they? And he's like,
Yeah.
and Rock says something about he don't like, he tastes something. He like eats something, I think, and he's like, it's mild, and he like hits him with it. Something like that. It's hilarious. I love stuff like that. Speaking of the halftime heat, Adam Cole hit a Panama Sunrise.
Yeah, it did.
Another, and basically another
It
destroyer.
did.
yeah. There was a
So Canadian destroyer by him, Canadian
Yeah.
destroyer by Rey Mysterio and
Yeah.
Almas. It's not technically a pile driver, is it?
I mean,
It isn't. It isn't.
it's a variation of a pile.
It's a variation of one.
They did it.
Is it coming back? Is the
well,
pile driver
Almas
coming
and Mysterio did it again, but turned it into more of a sunset flip
back?
kind of thing.
If it goes into
So,
a pin, then it's like a huge strike,
yeah,
isn't it?
they
Basically?
did it. They did it again. That same thing where he kind of balanced on him and then rolls up, and then like the first time they did it, it was like a destroyer. This time they did it as a
It's a right cool move.
as a
Such a
sunset
wicked
flip.
move.
So it looked like in main roster wise, they'd kind of said, just be careful. Don't do that again.
I wish. I think it's like, is it a sign of things to come, or is it just them like letting them do that move? Because technically,
If you know how to do your job, it's like a lot of wrestlers have said. It's one of the simpler moves if you do it right. It's just
Yeah.
there's certain rules you don't do. Like you don't sit out on certain power bombs.
Yeah.
Or
No.
on certain pile drivers, you don't sit out.
no,
on
no,
them.
no.
And it's just
Like they always let Taker do his, and with his fucking age, with his knees and his hips, they
Well,
still let
Taker
him hit
and
him,
Kane
so-
were trusted, and it's more probably just due to their height that
it's a height
there's
thing.
It is.
there's not any, there's a clear foot gap
Of course,
between,
yeah.
someone's
I
head
mean,
hitting the
back
mat.
in the Indies, Adam Cole, that was his finisher, was the Panama Sunrise. Like
Yeah.
that was just the move that he finished matches with. Now he's like the suit. Was it now? There's a Shining Wizard that he does now.
No, it's
I, thought it
I
was
haven't
like
seen him winning so long because he just keeps
True.
dropping out because he's the
he does.
baddie.
Yeah. I
Um,
thought it was a Shining Wizard that he used to use.
No, but when he came over, I was thinking like he's gonna have to make some serious changes because
Yeah.
that's what you see with a lot of the guys. Like I didn't think Shinsuke would be using the Kinshasa because what you saw it before it became what it is now, and it was the Bombay. It was just he was basically just kneeing people
In the head.
clean hard in the back of the head.
Imagine if Kevin Owens comes back and hits the package pile driver.
Oh, I want to see Steenalizer. I want to see a big horrible Steenalizer.
Awful.
to,
Do you
like-
know? It was funny. I was listening to it. Excalibur does like a. It's almost like a shoot thing. It's not. It's just him talking to wrestlers, like, without kayfabe, obviously, because it's Excalibur.
No
But he was
kayfabe.
talking. He's talking to Kevin Steen. Oh no, Kevin. It might be the actual Kevin Steen show. Kevin Steen had one as well.
Yeah.
And he's talking to Drake. What's his name now? He was called Drake Younger back in the day when he was a deathmatch wrestler, the referee for NXT. Drake
Oh.
Yurts.
Yeah,
I
worse,
just- yeah,
something.
yeah.
Something like that,
With
but
the-
obviously,
yeah.
yeah. So it was Kevin Steen was saying about, or Kevin Owens now was saying about the Steenalizer, that he would always ask guys, he would always say to him like, "Listen, I would never take this move. I would never take it ever. But if you want to take it, it's totally cool by me. I can do it." And like a lot of the young kids that were like up and coming, be like, "Yeah, do it. Yeah, let's go for it. Let's do for it." And there's one that he does, and he throws the poor kid into the corner, like into the turnbuckle, the bottom turnbuckle, like on the back of his head. He just drops on his neck. And it's just like, oh my god, it's one of the worst, like the worst looking moves.
It's minging to watch.
But if you like, I remember, it was Owens Cena for the title the first time when he gets him up for the package power driver. And then turns, like, spins it out into a powerbomb almost.
Yeah.
And then when he got him up for it, I was like, oh my god, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. And then he never did it. But imagine now if it's like, if they're becoming more okay with it. The package power driver's pretty safe.
In my head, I just see him hitting the steamlizer an old man Sting.
Imagine.
You know, like Kevin Owens with them buckle bombs. Just the worst version of a buckle bomb. But yeah.
But like, if they're becoming more confident in the guys to do them, I think if you watch the
thing
in
is
theory,
though, it just takes like one mistake, doesn't it? And then that's it.
But when has it ever gone wrong for Kevin Owens?
No, I know.
Has he ever
But
dropped
like,
in there?
if you see something like Samoa Joe's Muscle Buster,
Where
like
but again,
that went
accident.
wrong once,
Freak
and he's
accident.
never been allowed to do it since.
Apart from Austin getting his neck broke, can you think of any other time in wrestling history that a wrestler has had their neck broke or been seriously injured by a pile driver? Off the top of your head.
There probably is, but
I mean, I'd like to say Osprey, but that's
out.
kind of like, you know,
It's
he's
just
been
him being
injured so many
ridiculous.
times.
Yeah,
He's always
yeah.
getting injured.
I don't think anybody else.
Didn't Austin do it to someone? Like, because I'm sure Austin did it while he was
He
working
did,
in
yeah.
Japan.
He did a
He
sit
hurt
out
someone,
powerbomb and broke
yeah.
someone's neck.
Because I remember them saying about how he goes.
But again, a powerbomb's different, isn't it?
Oh, did he do a power bomb?
No, power driver.
Oh, it was a power driver. All right.
Similar
Yeah,
thing.
similar
Like a
type
tombstone
thing.
power, like a
Sit out
tombstone
power driver.
sit
Well,
out
yeah,
power driver.
I agree with you. Like, it's very rare you see anybody hurt with a pile driver.
Really,
you more
really
see
rare.
people hurt doing stupid stuff like topes and
Yeah.
You can get hurt
Baseball
by like
slides,
a baseball
snapping
slide,
your legs
snap
up.
your ankle.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's such a ridiculous. I mean, I get you breaking your ankles a lot less serious than breaking your neck, but I just feel like it's that very, very unbelievably rare that anybody ever gets actually hurt off one.
They're normally very. Like,
the package
what was that
power
thing with
driver.
Enzo
Okada
when
uses
he?
a jumping, twisting
Yeah.
pile driver.
Yeah,
No
does
one
all-
ever gets hurt.
No.
There was that time when Enzo like slid out the ring and caught his head on the bottom
Exactly,
rope.
caught his
and
head on the
just
rope and it-
absolutely knocked himself
That was
senseless.
pretty funny. No, it's not funny, but it's kind of funny.
I like it.
But like the package pile driver, if you watch that move, he lifts you up and you almost come down in a power bomb, like your back's nearly
Yeah.
flat.
Yeah.
But the way that he bridges you and sits, his fat thighs take all the brunt of that move.
I
Like
do it
your
on my
neck-
little lad all the
Yeah.
time.
Your head comes
Great
nowhere.
safe.
Your head comes
Great
nowhere
safe.
near.
He loves a package pile driver.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Get him up there. Bam.
I've got a video of me hitting the package pile driver on my mate at a party once, and I kind of, you're meant to hold the legs from the outside, and I've realised it's my finisher if I was ever a wrestler. I went outside his legs and hooked around them so his legs had no leverage. My mate,
Yeah.
oh the move on my friend.
Hey, mate.
He's called Nathan.
You can donate to Nathan's GoFundMe.
Yeah, he's now in a wheelchair. No, but like I've got a video of it somewhere, and I like sit him on. I didn't actually fall on the floor. I picked him up and like sat on the settee, and his neck is dangerously close to being snapped. But that's because I sat down. If you're falling flat to the floor, in theory, if you're a good wrestler, there's no reason why your head should ever come near to the canvas. Like there's just what is the most, apart from a pile driver, because I would always say that's the best move ever. What is the most lethal looking move?
Yeah,
I don't mean like actually physically gonna like kill you. But, like the
what
way it
looks devastating.
There's one. The
if
one.
pile
that-
driver's like out the question.
The one for me that I
got
think whenever you do that move on someone, it's the ones that look like you would actually get hurt more, like a Spanish fly. You're getting hurt more than the person you're
End
doing
of
it on.
heartache
That's
messes
not,
me up.
that's not what I'm asking, mate.
No, I'm just sort of saying though, like I'm just trying to think.
End of heartache
stuff,
or any
but-
backstabber.
End of
you know,
heartache's
you know
really
the
Yeah.
you know the one Candice
Code
LeRae took
Breaker,
from
I thought.
was it Cedric Alexander?
Yes.
And
in
she
a
just
indie.
goes like 15 feet in
It's
the
like,
air,
yeah.
and you just think, oh my god.
Have you seen that, Rob?
Oh.
Cedric hits like a end of heartache on Candice LeRae in indie
Is
match
his
somewhere.
lumbar check?
Yeah, it's a
Same
lumbar
thing,
check.
yeah,
Yeah,
same
yeah.
thing. And he
That one does
gets-
look pretty
and
brutal.
Oh,
like-
it's horrible.
you see
Some people sell it really well.
her
and
back
some people
bends
don't.
down, and then I don't know how they did it. She like shoots like a good 5 feet
Yeah,
in the
I
air,
have seen-
and
I
the
have seen
crowd
that,
go
I have seen
mental.
that.
Oh.
But that move, Roddy Strong still hits that.
Sick.
and
Yeah,
it's
he hits it
awful.
all the time.
It looks terrible. Like it looks lethal, but I would bet that hurts you more than sitting out for a pile driver does.
As a
Because
wrestler,
in theory, you're literally what. Obviously, the theory is that your head's being spiked into the floor. But like if you watch Taker do a pile driver, there's a good foot between the head
Yeah,
and the canvas. So that move, in theory, the end of Heartache, would cause you more actual real damage than taking a pile driver would.
To me, the one that I
get that
look
it's the
at-
risk that if you let go and slip, then you're going to break your neck.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, is
End of Heartache.
hurting the wrestler doing it more. But look, Matt Hardy's leg drop from the second rope.
Yeah.
Like his spine must be wrecked.
Awful.
Yeah.
It just looks horrible every time
It's
he
like
hits
that.
it.
I love Ember Moon's
Horrible.
finish. I know what it's called.
Oh, the
Eclipse.
Eclipse.
Oh, it's sick.
That's
yeah.
that's going to paralyse her. That's going to put her in
kill
a
her, yeah, it's
wheelchair at
gonna
some
ruin
point.
her.
When Mickey James sells that move, when she like flips through it,
Beautiful.
unreal.
You look at
Unreal.
Austin from
Yeah.
just doing stunners, and like
The stunner's
Essentially,
a really good shout, you know?
that's what her move is a stunner
That's
from
all
the
it
top
is.
rope,
It's amazing.
but jumping
Top rope
over
stunner.
somebody.
It's a top rope
So
stunner.
good.
Yeah. I think I'd go stunner. And again, it's the simplest move to take because you
It's
don't even
so
actually
good.
you literally bend down with Austin and then fall on your back. But the way that it looks, it
It's
just
brilliant.
looks lethal.
I
It's
was,
brutal.
and I think there's one particular one where it was, I can't remember what match it was, but it was Shelton Benjamin and Shawn Michaels. And Shawn Michaels hit a super kick because Shelton Benjamin's jumped off the rope.
oh
It was a
yeah,
And
tope,
as he
like,
landed-
springboard into the ring and hits him.
unbelievable.
As he landed, he hits
Yeah,
that
yeah,
sweet
yeah.
chin
The
music.
super kick is
and
probably-
I just thought there's no safe way of you getting
Nah.
kicked in the face
No.
from
The
with
su-
that much force coming
I
down
would
on
probably
it.
put pile driver, end of Heartache, and then a good super kick. You can't beat a good super
Kinshasa's
kick.
kind of in there with the super kick. Like when he was in New Japan, just like gnashing
Yeah.
the
I
back
don't-
of, like,
yeah.
But that's like
AJ's head.
that's like a legitimate just getting kicked in the back of the head.
Yeah,
though, to
it's
be
not really
fair.
a move back when he was working New Japan.
No, it's
was
just
it?
actually legitimately getting
Destino
kicked.
looks good though.
Destino
that looks
looks amazing.
lethal.
I like a good mention it like a fisherman's driver, like a mention it
Yeah.
good driver. Like I love something like that.
Ooh,
I like
nice.
a Cardo's Rainmaker looks pretty
Oh,
If
yeah.
he hits it
brutal
right,
if
brutal.
they sell it right.
Yeah.
And then
Spin
to an
out.
extent, when JBL used to do his clothesline from hell.
Oh, they were the best. You know when you
When
knew
he, like-
some
when he
young
wouldn't
lad
even
had
run
really
into
messed
it.
up backstage, and he just comes
Oh.
wading down to the ring, two-stepping like an
Ding, ding,
absolute
ding, ding,
arsehole, living
Yeah.
the absolute dream. He slides in that ring. Oh,
Yeah,
all
but the
hell
thing
breaks
is with
loose.
JBL is he wouldn't run into it. He would like stand just a bit
Stiffen.
further from the ropes and just fall into the ropes and then just like lay into it. It's
It
one of the
looks
greatest.
brutal.
It
He's
is
in my
awful.
all-time. I love JBL.
I love
Absolutely
JBL.
love him.
He's an awful
He's
human
up
being,
there for me.
but I love him. No, he's a great wrestler. He was a great wrestler. I love when
he's so
Blue
good.
Meanie gave him that receipt though. When Blue
I
Meanie
like-
hit him with that chair.
I
That's
like
one
the
of the
fact
best
that he's
things.
like he's big and hard, but he's also a massive coward. I just think he's such a great like.
Well,
it's like Sonic the Hedgehog
I
baddie or
always,
something.
I always thought he was a
He
huge.
proper is.
Yeah.
He's like big and
Like
hard,
Dr.
but he's a
Eggman,
real
like
coward.
flies away before he can get hurt. I thought he was as well, but then he agreed. He knew what he was getting into with that Blue Meanie match.
yeah.
Like he knew he was going to get hurt.
Yeah, but that's just a case of he's been in the business long enough to
take
know
the
that
receipt, didn't he?
you
He was
know
probably
what,
drunk
I've
and
done,
all.
I've done
I'd
it.
take the
I've
receipt.
got to get
He was
it back.
probably steaming. He was at
hit him
Hammerstein
so
Ballroom, wasn't he?
hard with that chair. No, that was
Oh, that was. Oh yeah, that
I'm
was
saying
on-
like the SmackDown match
Yeah,
where they
yeah.
let Meanie get his receipt,
Yeah.
and he canes him with that chair so hard.
Unprotected chair shot. as
Unprotected chair
well.
shot to the clean top of his dome.
There goes a good 5 or
A good
6
5
years.
off your
The
life.
other
No,
one,
not just from his memory.
Just from your
just
memory
gone.
itself,
the
yeah.
other one with like taking a receipt, like how JBL took that chair shot, would have been when Mr. Kennedy went into business for himself on Taker, and then Taker hit him with the chair shot where the
Yeah.
chair just is
Makes me feel
wrapped
sick,
around his
Bends
head.
around his neck.
Oh,
That is rough. I love what was the kid called that went on Tough Enough and tried to tap out Kurt Angle?
Oh,
Daniel Pudel.
Daniel
Puder,
Puder,
yeah,
and he was in
yeah.
the Rumble with Hardcore Holly, Chris Benoit,
Eddie Guerrero.
and Eddie Guerrero, and they beat the piss out of that
That'd
poor
be
boy.
so much fun.
Like in the corner, there's like chopping him, and he's falling. They're like, no, you get back up there,
Yeah.
mate. You're taking a good few more from us, and they just finally just dumped him on the top row like a can of garbage. Like,
it's
yeah,
it's
get out.
bullying at its finest, really.
It is
but,
essentially
I mean,
bullying, but it's
you can't
just
not
it's part of
enjoy
the
it.
business, isn't it? Like, I don't think it's any.
We
you
don't
can't
support
not-
bullying on this show in any way, shape, or form.
But
But if you're a professional wrestler, you kind of knew what you were getting in for.
you've got to get your shit in, haven't you?
You got to get.
It
your
doesn't
shit
happen
in.
anymore though. I'm quite gutted that it didn't. There's no. They're all friends now, aren't they?
Well, it
think
just
the
happens in
wrestling,
other ways,
you
doesn't it? It happens
Back in
like,
like the
you know,
80s,
like
90s.
they'll just it'll just be like, you know, Roman Reigns makes the Miz get dressed in the corridor now. You know, Enzo
Roman
Amore
Reigns?
gets kicked off the bus. Yeah, because he was kind of like the locker room
leader,
leader,
yeah,
weren't
yeah.
he? So he kind of like,
When Miz was getting changed,
yeah, there was a bit where,
Roman Reigns.
yeah, Miz
Yeah, I'm
had
sure I
done
heard about
something
Roman
or
and
said
Miz.
something, and Roman Reigns made Miz get him.
that happened years ago.
I know the Miz used to get it all the time with Benoit, didn't he? 'Cause
No,
he
no,
ate
no,
chicken
yeah,
over his
no,
back or
maybe I'm
something.
getting
It was a
confused.
long
But I know
time
Ray.
ago.
I know
No,
Ray.
Miz did do that. Miz used to get changed in the corridor because I think he said something to somebody.
Yes.
It was like years and years
Yeah,
and years.
okay,
and
yeah.
He was
years.
eating
When he first
chicken over
started,
Benoit's kit bag apparently.
Yes, he was eating
That's
chicken out of
it,
Benoit's
yeah,
kit bag. So
yeah,
they were
yeah.
like, right, you can get changed in the locker in the.
I know.
in
I mean,
holiday
the
Reigns
last
has done
person's
it
kit
to,
bag you'd want to be eating chicken over.
is the man that killed himself and his family. Yeah, definitely, I agree.
I know
Story for another day.
Reigns did it to Enzo where they like kicked him off the bus because of his attitude and
Yeah.
stuff, and it is
I
more
love
like that
stuff
now.
like that,
that
though.
you don't really
It's awfully political. Isn't
you
it?
don't really
Oh,
take
yeah.
the punishment in the ring in front of everyone anymore,
But
do you?
even
going
it
up,
wasn't,
down,
it wasn't
down and
even
get
back
beat
in the
playing
day.
Mario
It
Kart.
wasn't even
Yeah.
punishment. It was literally, if you were new, they would put you in the ring with some old veteran, and he would just beat seven shades of shit at you, and there was
Well, if
nothing
it
you could do
was
about it.
in Daniel Pudel's
He tried to
case,
just
it was
take- he
because
tried to
he
just
tried
take
to
He
go
tried
in-
to tap Kurt Angle out.
Yeah, he went into business for himself, didn't he? And
Yeah, well, he had actual. No, well, to be fair,
I mean, he could
I
do
don't
it.
think
He
he
knew
was
he
in the
could.
wrong. I don't think he was in the wrong.
No,
they
Kurt
got all
challenged
them
him to
in.
properly wrestle.
They got him into that ring and said, "Beat Kurt Angle."
The problem
and
is-
he had MMA background and was like, "All right, I'll
he
beat
got him
Kurt
in.
Angle."
He got him in a headlock. That's
really
illegal in
tapped him out.
wrestling. So Kurt's not used to anything like that.
Well, they counted the 1, 2, 3 to get him out of it, didn't they? They counted,
yeah.
the referee
Yeah.
counted
Could've.
a 1, 2, 3 just to like save him, but he was genuinely nearly tapped out. Like he nearly
broke
killed
his
him.
arm.
He nearly killed him in the air.
This is the thing, though.
Oh,
Like,
brilliant.
there's the situation like that with Daniel Pudel where we're watching a sport that is predetermined and it's supposed to be a real fight.
Yeah.
But then when someone does
Actually-
a real fight or a real
Yeah.
move or a real something to actually legitimately hurt someone,
They all kick off.
they all kick off and say,
Yeah.
"Come on, man, it's not real.
Do you remember
You're
it's-
now going to take loads of punishment in front of everyone." Do you know what I
But then
mean?
the punishment that he got was real. Like them chops hurt. Like they
Oh,
just
yeah.
beat the
Yeah.
shit out of him. Poor guy.
Speaking
what is he
of
doing
chops,
now?
what did what's he called? David Stars or that Jack Stars? What did Jack Stars do to get that off Walter for that NXT show?
I think
Because that handprint is it's like he's tattooed a hand
one
on
of
him.
the worst ones I think I've seen. I think they've probably got a lot of young boys that run around with NXT UK, and they were in the locker room and they went, "Which one of you wants?
Would
to
you
get-
like to be on TV?
Would you like to be on TV?"
Yeah.
And Jack Stars went, "I'll do it."
Yeah.
And they went, "Cool. Walter's going to beat the shit out of you." And he
Yeah.
went, okay.
Do you want to be a wrestler?
Do you want to do it?
Do you want to
Yeah.
be on
Do you want to
TV?
be on TV or do you not want to be on TV?
Yeah.
That's your option.
Yeah.
Do you want to wrestle at the Blackpool Ballroom, wherever it is? Do you want to do that? Do you want that experience?
Do you want to be on the network? Do you want to be on WWE Network?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Guess I do.
Then you're
Then
taking
gonna
a
get
chop off Walter,
Then you get killed by
and it's
Walter.
going to be one of the
one of the
chops
worst
you've
ones that's ever
seen.
happened in your entire life.
When they were interviewing backstage, and
Did
there
you hear that one
There
that
was a
Mustafa-
handprint.
Yeah, it was awful.
There
It
was
was
a
terrible.
handprint raised
Did you
on
hear
his chest.
the Mustafa Ali hit Andy Orton with a chop last night?
yeah,
Yes,
I
it
think
did,
was,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
loud.
really big.
Yeah.
It like an overhand like paintbrush, and it was like very loud.
Maybe that's
probably why
maybe that's
Randy
where the black eye came
accidentally-
from. Yeah.
Yeah.
the black
Give
eye.
him a
Where the
bit of a
black eye
receipt.
came from.
Thing is though, some of the guys seem to be totally up for like letting other guys lay the shit in.
Yeah.
Some of them don't.
Yeah.
I remember when Punk was in the Rumble, when Rusev was first coming,
Yeah.
and they'd planned for Rusev to beat up Punk. So before the match, they were like, Punk was sat with Rusev. He's like, "What are you gonna do?" And he's like, "Oh, I'll throw you. I'll hit you with like a couple of punches." And he's like, "No, like beat the shit out of me. Like
Yeah.
you need to put
Lay
yourself
your shit.
over.
Yeah,
You're the
yeah.
new like monster. Fucking fuck me up. Like do some mad shit."
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, they're just terrified of actually getting involved. But then there's like, I think Punk's
Yeah.
up for it. There was somebody else that did the same thing.
Brock's like that. Brock's, if someone
Brock
brings
likes
it
it,
to
yeah.
him,
Yeah.
like the
Brock
match he had
really
with Samoa Joe, where apparently after backstage, Brock was like, "That was great.
Yeah.
That was really good."
I think
yeah.
with
and
Brock,
he threw him around and
He-
put him
yeah.
through stuff. And
With
yeah.
Brock, you got to treat it like a sparring session where it's like you
Kind
go
of.
in, you be like, "Hi Brock, thank you sir for having a match with you. I'm gonna go hard. You go hard with me." You'll probably be like, "Yeah, sound kid, nice one."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's a competitor, he's a proper sportsman, so he's not going to think of it like, "Oh, we'll tell a great story." He's just going to think, "You lay it in, I'll lay it in, and
Yeah,
it'll
it's
tell
just-
itself."
Tell
Yeah,
itself,
yeah.
right? It does though,
Like,
doesn't it? Because you've got. I think that's the thing with Brock is that every match that he has, you come in for a fight. Like you come in for not a wrestling match, you come in for a fight. So there's no reason to try and like tell a crazy story. Just go out there and just kick the
Yeah,
shit
and
out of
that's
each other.
the gimmick of Brock Lesnar now, is it? Now that he's in his most recent return, now he's got that sort of, he wears the fight shorts and the MMA gloves and and stuff like that. That's believable because that's what his gimmick is almost.
Yeah.
I know he's like that in real life and he's done UFC stuff
Yeah,
and been
yeah.
UFC champ or whatever, but it's not like you've got someone like Cedric Alexander and he's kind of like, yeah, we're just gonna fight, and it's like that's not you. I'm not
Sometimes,
believing
like,
it.
I think like a wrestling company can benefit by thinking of the wrestlers as just athletes. It's like you don't need to give
Yeah.
them all this. Like you're gonna have a few like athletes. Like on a football team, you're gonna have a few people who've got a bit of a eccentricity, a bit of a character.
Yeah.
Something people attach them to. But the rest of them, they're just athletes. So just let
Yeah,
them be
let them
athletes,
do a
and
job.
then so they develop a character over time. The more you see an athlete wrestle, the more they develop a character.
And they all want to be athletes. Like, that's what they're there for.
Yeah.
I know. I keep going back to Nash. I've been watching. Other day I watched like a 3-hour U-shoot thing with Nash on, and Nash was saying obviously he played basketball. Like, he never liked wrestling. And I think it was part of the reason why he didn't dislike Bret Hart, but Bret Hart was literally breeded to be a wrestler. Like, he was born to be a wrestler.
Yeah.
I mean, really, this is what you will, but he was abused by an old man in a dungeon.
Yeah.
Like, that's how he got into the business.
Essentially.
So you kind of take it a little bit seriously.
You do.
It becomes a bit of a thing.
You do. But, again, like Nash was saying, he hurt his knee playing basketball, and that dream was done. And then he saw this business where he could still be an athlete, he could still, like, be big and be a big guy.
Yeah.
And he liked the lifestyle, like being on the road and drinking and partying and all that stuff. But the main thing was for him that he could still be an athlete.
Goldberg's the same.
With with 1.5 legs, he could still be an athlete, is what he said.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I totally get it. Like, you can still
live that baller lifestyle.
Like, still be an
Go out there, do
athletic.
It's probably why you see so many former American footballers.
Go to it because they just want to.
There's
be
a
an
lot
athlete.
of it. There's a lot of them that are.
If you see it in that light, then it makes sense.
Yeah.
An interesting thing I was
apart from Psycho Sid, when he used to be softball player, and he was more interested in playing softball than that.
I like
getting stabbed by Arn Anderson.
I like softball
in a hotel room in Blackburn. Where was it? Blackburn,
I think,
I remember something like that. I was
thinking of softball as you're getting scissors rammed into you repeatedly.
Right in it. I was laughing at not laughing at. I just find it interesting.
Don't say Psycho Sid getting stabbed in a hotel.
No, not that. Montreal Screwjob. We'll probably do like everybody's done an episode on it, but I'm sure we'll do one at some point.
Yeah,
but somebody was saying about again, I can't remember who was saying it. It was one of the I don't even know who it was, but they were saying they think it's a work purely for the fact that
X-Pac has always said he thinks it's
X-Pac reckons it's a work. It might have been no, it wasn't X-Pac that was saying it. It was some random guy that was saying that if you would have took Stu Hart, like Stu Hart's business, like Stu Hart's obviously had his own promotion back in whatever years he was around. If you had Stu Hart's title and you went to Stu Hart and went, you know what, Stu, I'm not dropping this belt. I'm not dropping your belt tonight. I don't feel like doing it. I don't like where we are. I don't like the city that we're in. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not dropping this title. Stu Hart would have sent a guy out to that ring to beat the shit out of you and take that title off you, like, without any circumstances. And so they were saying, with Bret growing up around Stu Hart, I would have assumed that Bret would have gone to his dad and gone, Dad want me to drop the belt on Sunday. They want me to drop it. I don't want to do it. And I bet Stu Hart would have gone, if that's your boss, he's telling you to do it, you fucking do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's his business.
Yeah.
It's his promotion.
Think about it. Vince could have sent Taker out there to really fuck him up, but then you get into that thing of like, Bret's the kind of guy who would have gone to the papers and would have, whinged about it.
Well, they were saying somebody else was saying it's a work because Vince McMahon would never have let somebody draw the letters WCW like live on air.
That had gone off there by then. The pay-per-view had finished by then. When he started smashing...
Was it not on short circuit, though?
It was recorded, because it's been obviously shown on afterwards, but the pay-per-view feed cut.
Did it actually cut off?
Pretty much as soon as the bell rang and
done.
Shawn Michaels grabbed the title, they just wanted to make sure they had a shot of Shawn lifting the title, running out, and then they just cut the feed. Yeah.
The only thing that gets me...
They didn't show you him like smashing the TVs or anything. Didn't show
the only thing that gets me is that no one around it has gone, yeah, it was a work. It's just the people who kind of like...
But I think there was that was how tight knit it was. Like, nobody knew about it.
I think everything else has come out though. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's been long enough now. It's been 22 years now. So
I always thought it was a shoot.
People will have come out by now and said something.
I always thought it was a shoot until he put it like that, and he said that if it was Stu Hart's business, like just as it was Vince's, if it was genuinely a guy saying I don't want to drop this title, they would have sent... Shawn might have done it. Shawn might have beat the shit out of him. I don't know if he would have, but they would have sent somebody...
Shawn could have.
No,
they'd have
Shawn
sent somebody
actually,
out
and the night before...
They'd have done the job and got it off him.
Yeah, Shawn the night before, because they'd obviously planned it and he was in on it, because obviously he knows, this is going to be the finish, but Brett doesn't know. He went to Joe Briscoe's hotel room and asked him to show him some legitimate submission locks that
just in case
I'll learn it one night. You just watch me.
It almost
wonder
like
of cocaine.
If things turn, what can I do to sort of
finish
nullify
this match off.
anything that Brett's going to try to do to me.
I love the idea.
I think
of
Earl
a
would have
based
sorted
up Shawn Michaels knocking on Briscoe's door at like 3 in the morning. Yeah,
Show me some
karate
moves.
locks. Show some old son.
Pretty much it.
Shirtless.
Pretty
Yeah,
much it.
would have. That's what he would have done.
That was the whole thing. I mean, we'll probably get into it if we ever do an episode on it.
Oh,
probably
we
will.
The whole
Yeah,
thing about
absolutely.
Earl
Actually,
Hebner
like,
doing
It's
it.
just it's podcasted law, isn't it? You got to do it.
There was a rumour that he wasn't actually Earl Hebner, but it was his brother Dave who did the match.
That's pretty.
Who
funny.
did the match?
They
Yeah.
look. They do look very. They do look very.
Well, they're
similar.
identical, aren't they? Like that was the great thing about that match that they did in the. Was it like the early 90s, late 80s or something when it was the double ref thing with?
I know what you're talking
was
about.
it like
I don't-
Andre and Hogan?
Yeah, I don't know when it was, but I know what you're talking about.
Great. I mean,
Yeah.
if it wasn't Earl and it was Dave, then that's fantastic.
The original Twin Magic.
The it was Twin Magic.
Yeah.
I always was like, it's obviously a shoot. They had to do what they had to do. But when I've heard that, it makes me wonder. Like, it does make me wonder. I don't think Vince is a mug. I don't think, because like Jim Cornette always says, like, and again, Jim Cornette loves protecting the business, so I think he would never come out and be like, yeah, it's a work, it's all fake. I think he loves protecting the business. Jim Cornette always says, for the days before, he would ring Russo, he would ring Jim, he would speak to Triple H. He'd ring Russo, he'd speak to Jim, speak to Triple H. Like, he was always he just didn't know what to do. And I think Vince is a fucking madman. He'd just been like, right, fuck you, I'm taking Taker out there. You either lay down or Taker will beat the shit out of you until you tap out or submit or I get pinned because you're knocked out. I just don't think it could have. I just don't know.
He
It all
couldn't have
seems
taken that
crazy.
chance, could he? I mean, he couldn't take that chance to let Brett do what he wanted to do.
You couldn't take the chance.
I've always been on Brett's side for it, but he's such a petty bastard. It's like, oh, I'm not going to lose in Canada.
He just
I'll
didn't-
lose it tomorrow night. It's like
That's
a toddler.
perfect heat, though. That's like the perfect way to
perfect.
go.
Of course it is. You
Lose
should
it
have
in your
gone-
town. How many
Yeah.
times have they done that now? Like,
Yeah.
where they,
All you have to
I
do
mean,
is
it's
say
a
to
little.
him-
It's not to the same extent, but they got like Bailey lost the title in San Diego, where she's
Yeah.
from.
For me,
That's what- that's what
Keep
you
the
do.
door open for him in case he ever wants to
That's
come
exactly-
for
back.
me personally, after the first 5 minutes when they go, we are live in so and so, if you don't bring it up again, I forget entirely where that pay-per-view is. I couldn't tell you where half of them are.
Yeah.
Like Raw, after they go, we are live in Brooklyn
Brett cares more
in
than
front of
Canada
25,000.
cares.
After 5 minutes, I don't even know where it is. It's just
It
an
wasn't
arena
about
somewhere.
Canada. It
To
was
the
about
point of,
Shawn.
like-
he
It
just
was
wanted to
about
control
Shawn.
the
He hated Shawn.
situation.
He
It's
hated
to the
it.
point of where on your point where they announce sort of where they're from. I mean, it's only really like a Mania where you know where it is because of the huge
'Cause it's-
build
yeah,
up to
'cause
it.
it's in-
But
yeah.
if it's a normal kind of show, you've forgot to a point where they're like, I don't know, like so. Daniel Bryan didn't get really a massive. Got a decent reception on his way out of the. On Tuesday, but it was like, what's he getting shit? Oh, they're
'cause
in
it's in
Washington.
Washington.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
why.
That's the thing, innit? I just think, it's so crazy that I think he covered his back by going, oh yeah, I don't want to lose in Canada, but I think it was like you said, Tommy. He
didn't want to lose to Shawn
He
Michaels.
just hated Shawn
It was
Michaels
just,
so
it was
much.
just an excuse for
And
anything.
everybody hated Shawn Michaels at that point.
Shawn Michaels hated Shawn
But-
Michaels.
Yeah.
But you just do the
I
job.
hate who I am.
You
So
do
I'll
the job. You go out on
fill
your bike.
myself full of
You go
drugs.
out, staring at the lights. That's not the end of the podcast. No, you do. You do
Yeah.
what you have to do.
Yeah,
just
you
do
do.
it. If
You
you've
do.
got a multi-million-dollar deal at WCW, what do you care?
It doesn't matter what job you're in. You walk out doing whatever they ask you to for your last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So they go, "You're a sound lad.
Yeah.
If you ever need a job again, you,
You know
can
where
come
we
back
are.
here."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he just wanted to spit dummy out because they were having a proper spat, and they should have just aired the grievances on TV. And if it was maybe 5 years later, they probably would have done because they weren't
It's
quite
just-
into that
yeah.
attitude era thing
But
yet.
then
Where
again,
they just
like,
went, "Let's
it's-
just throw it all to the wall."
Yeah.
But it was just, I mean, it led to the attitude era, but it was just the timing of it. Everything was still kind of kayfabe. Let's keep
Yeah.
it all underground. Let's not have you two going off as
Yeah.
much as you possibly can.
You wish, like, did it go different? But then you also think we got Mr. McMahon because of it. We got the evil Mr. McMahon as a
Yeah,
character.
yeah.
We got Austin because of that. We got the
And
Austin
it became
McMahon
more
feud.
interesting because it broke that fourth wall down, and
did.
and it got more eyes on it. Like I still don't understand why Vince agreed to let them film all that they did for that Wrestling with Shadows documentary, because that documents it perfectly.
Does perfect. Again, that's why I think it's
They
slightly
can't
worthy.
lots of weird stuff, but this is it. The conversation about it's kind of like it's like any conspiracy theory. There's so much that points to it was real, but then there's so much that points to it was fake as well. It's just you'll never know until you get lucky enough to sit in the room with either Vince,
Yeah.
Shawn, or Brett and
Well,
actually talk about it.
Austin on that podcast came out. Austin's WWE Network podcast with Sean. Sean came out and went, "Yeah, it was. I knew because he's
Yeah,
always
he knew.
he's always
He
held.
knew.
He's
he always held.
always known.
No, but he always held that he had no idea.
He says on the documentary,
Even on the, he says, I had no fucking idea.
I had no idea that was going to happen.
God is my witness. I had no fucking idea. But then, like, yeah,
He wasn't that into God back then, though.
he
Now
wasn't.
he's
But he said it.
super
He
into
loves
God.
him now, bless him. But now, yeah, it was just a little bit too fucky, like the way that everything went.
Was
A bit
mess.
too perfect, almost.
A bit too perfect.
In the
Maybe
out-
it was
in the
Mr.
over.
Perfect. Who orchestrated
Maybe
it
it was Kurt.
all. With that slight dusting of what if.
Apparently, Kurt was the biggest ribber back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Kurt and Owen.
Mr. Fuji as well. Mr. Fuji would take shits in cups
Great
and
little
put them in like hotel rooms
Wasn't it
and just
perfect
let them
too?
permeate.
Shitting Jerry Lawler's crown, wasn't that Mr. Perfect?
Yeah, I think that was Mr. Perfect.
I was reading Chris Benoit and some other guys just piss in a cup.
And they killed their
Syringe.
entire family.
He did do that, but not in this situation.
Sorry.
Piss in a cup.
That's awful.
Syringe the piss into a syringe, and then inject it into like through the top of a toothpaste. Like inject it into toothpaste,
God.
and then like mush it all up. And apparently Benoit's favorite thing was to, after a match or at the end of the night, see you brushing your teeth with like the suds like
And
hanging
people
out your
were
mouth.
surprised.
And people were surprised.
Do you know
Just
what?
an evil
An
bastard.
evil human being.
I used to work.
It wasn't
at,
just him. I think it was like 3 guys that used to do it.
I used to work at Sheffield Arena, and they had a SmackDown live TV taping on once. Like you'll know because you've been to TV taping. When the pyro comes on, it's so loud,
Unbelievably loud, scarily
unbelievable. Like I was in like under all the seating in the sort of cleaning
like
room office,
awfully loud.
and I legitimately thought a bomb had gone off.
Yeah, it's awful.
But after sort of the thing, like my job there was like we're part of the cleaning team, so you kind of go in and watch a little bit of whatever's on, and then you go and clean up afterwards. And my job that night was doing what was called the North Corridor, which is all the dressing rooms.
Right.
So there's 4 dressing rooms that kind of little tiny ones, and they face each other. Are the normal sort of what they call the star dressing rooms.
Yeah.
And they'd been turned into women's locker room because it wasn't as big as what it is now, the women's roster. The other one was Vince's office, and then I think there was a writer's room next door to him. They've got then a massive room that is like what they use for like press conferences, and when bands on there, they host the hospitality in there.
Yeah.
That was the male locker room.
Yeah.
Across the corridor is another one that's exactly the same size that was just for Shawn Michaels.
Really?
It just said Shawn Michaels locker room on it.
No way.
In the other bit what they have for the hockey, the wrestlers thought it would be fun, and this is the time of like Rey Mysterio's kind of first run. I remember seeing JBL because he walked down the corridor in front of me after he'd done a bit where he'd escaped through the crowd, and he's in the corridor. Big Show was there because I remember Big Show was like when he was leaving, had a bright orange shirt on, and
Nice.
like you couldn't attract any more attention to yourself, even though you're
let alone
7
be
foot
7
tall.
foot tall, yeah.
Like Booker T was there and all that kind of thing. But I remember going in and they'd filled the sinks with paper towels
Nice.
and just turned all the taps on.
Brilliant. And left you to deal with it.
And I had to clean it all up. They'd flooded all
That's
of
pretty
the.
funny.
They'd flooded all of the
Can't
changing
help it,
rooms.
can they?
Yeah.
They
Joey,
can't.
like,
It's
pissed-
weird.
pissed in
like,
the
they
showers
can't
and
help
stuff.
doing
Have you
it.
heard,
They can't help.
It
but
must
do
be that you're so. I don't know. With your mates, that it's
just
just
like
you
being- it's like being
create
kids,
so
innit?
much entertainment.
Yeah.
Have you heard
Does.
that when Joey Diaz talks about when he was on The Longest Yard, and he said the wrestlers were just the worst. He goes, they were with rappers and they were with like ex-criminals and stuff. He goes, the wrestlers were just out of control.
Yeah.
He said they were in this tiny Mexican like hotel, and the bar was tiny. He said honestly it was like the size of a regular like desk you'd see. And it had a couple of bottles of booze on the back of it and a little shutter. And the wrestlers ripped the shutter off, like Kevin Nash and Stone Cold and stuff. They drank all the booze, and they were going around knocking on the doors, raiding people's minibars. He goes, they just could not stay
Crazy.
like smashed up.
I
He
love
goes,
it.
It's just insane.
They can't help this. It's so
No.
weird, isn't it? Like it's so crazy to think.
They're such
It
an
must be like a
extreme
child
individual.
mentality, innit? Like you get all your pals around you, like you did when you were younger, like when you were kids. Like you get your mates around you, and you just can't help but just like take piss out of somebody or do something.
it's the blueprint for destruction. You take
It
a
is.
rock star,
Yeah.
mix it with like a premiership athlete,
Yeah.
and then you add just like a childish, because the whole
Childish
concept of
mentality of
wrestling,
wrestling is
so
pretty
it's
childish,
stories and fighting,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you combine it all together,
Put some drugs in there
and you
as
get
well.
these absolute monsters.
Monsters of human beings.
Like-
I think that's hilarious that Sean had his own dressing room.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. I remember,
How could he not have like known that he was a huge bell end?
I think he did. I think he loved it.
Well, this
think-
was.
I think he loved it.
I just thought he was
Um,
like deluded into the fact that he was the best and everybody else.
This was like 2005 as well. So this is kind of.
oh, that was like good, Sean.
Yeah.
He was reborn.
Yeah. This was
They
like
still gave him his own
2005.
dressing room.
I remember like being in the they were clearing the ring out and everything, and on the left there's kind of an entryway in between the seats,
Right.
and that's the entrance into where all the dressing rooms are and everything. And I remember the door opening and seeing like Vince McMahon and Triple H talking, and this is before everyone really knew that Triple H was like
Of course, like lining
taking
up for the
over
job.
almost.
Yeah.
And I just remember seeing him stood there like, God, he's massive.
He's huge.
They're
Yeah.
all so big. It's
He is
crazy.
a
It's
big
crazy.
lad.
They are
And then they all
gigantic.
just pop off in a line with the little overnight bags and all get on a bus and go to the Hilton.
I'd love to do it, you know. Not now. I like because now they just play like video games in the trailers and stuff and don't talk to each other. But
It seems really boring.
go back in like the early '90s when like the click was
Yeah,
around
they were crazy.
and
It's
just
like-
travel with him.
It's like when you see them really like
I don't think you'd
vanilla
last a day.
bands that
I don't
go
think
on
you'd last
tour
a
and
day
they
with
just-
him.
They go and get a few facials after the gig and then
Yeah.
go back to
Yeah.
their hotel and get a good night's sleep.
Mental,
It's
innit?
like
Yeah.
it's like being in Motley Crue, being an old school wrestler.
Yeah.
You're just up all night
Yeah.
getting all sorts of venereal disease, pumping yourself full
Imagine.
of God knows what.
I
and
don't think you'd last. I don't think
partying.
a normal human being could last a night with them.
No.
No, not at all.
I think
like
Kevin-
Ric Flair
Kevin-
in his prime.
Oh, mate. Apparently, Ric Flair wasn't all that
Really?
amazing at drinking.
Really?
Because X-Pac was saying he once like went out with him and he was ordering fireballs. Ric Flair was, and he was like, that's a pussy drink, that. You're not drinking that with me. Jack Daniels shots, let's get him on. So Rick was like, oh, okay. So like necking him, and then Ric Flair tossed it over his shoulder.
Really?
Wouldn't
Well,
drink
you can
shots
probably,
of
you
Jack
can probably
Daniels.
neck all
That's why
sorts
it
of
can
Jack
last all
Daniels
night, though,
when
innit?
you're
But then
full of
Taker,
heroin.
apparently Taker would go into a bar and go, show me your bottles of Jack Daniels, and they'd like, pick him up and they'd show him and be like, that one, pour it all out in shot glasses, just keep bringing them over to this table over here. And they would just bring out like trays at a time of shots of
Crazy.
Jack Daniels to Taker and his mates.
Crazy.
Apparently, because of throwing it, people kept throwing him over their shoulders because they didn't want to get too fucked. Kurt Hennig made a rule: you had to gargle it, so you knew that you were necking it. So they put it in, they go, and then you knew that you
Yeah.
hear it, so you knew that they were drinking it because people kept throwing him over their shoulders. I think apparently Nash was saying when they were in, they might have been in Europe, and they had some like young guys, some like new fresh blood, and they were sat across the bar from each other, and like Nash and Click and that, and then these new guys, and they'd ordered like Jack Daniels for the guys over there, so they like send them shots of Jack, they'd send them back, so they kept doing it, and then he'd get the waiter, they'd order water and Diet Coke mixed together, but still order Jack Daniels for them guys over there.
Right.
So that the waiter would come over and the waitress would be like, listen, if they buy them for us, just give us Diet Coke and water, keep the difference for yourself, and we're tipping them as well. So these waitresses would be like taking them guys shots of Jack Daniels and just bringing Nash like Diet Coke and water.
Brilliant.
They'd get fucked all night.
He was too smart for that game.
They'd get ruined. So like, well, they'd get ruined, but they were actually fine. And in the morning, they'd come down and be like, "Hey guys, how are you doing? We're good." And then they'd be just like dead on the floor,
I will,
like
go out
couldn't
on
even
a, I will
move.
go out on a limb and say that Kevin Nash was just the smartest dude in professional
He
wrestling.
might have been,
Because
you know.
he just absolutely but smart.
He
for
wrote for like WCW.
yeah,
he's
he
head
just
writer.
smart
he's-
like a Wiley way. Do you know what I mean?
Like,
Always
I
fucking
just
with
think that's
people.
so. There's so many stories about him where he's
Legend.
just like he's got one over on guys in a really clever way that nobody like really knows about.
So good.
Some guy once tried to start on Kevin Nash because he said he once used the fake word, and this guy in a shoot interview was like, "You should never have been in the business, Kevin. You should have never been allowed into the business. You should have been exiled after you used that word. And I know you're a big guy." And he's like this really like short little fat kid, like fat man, and he's like, "I know you're a big guy, but I don't care. How dare you use that? My dad was real. I'm real." And Kevin Nash is like, one, I don't know who he is. Two, I don't know why he's saying this.
Oh, it was.
And he was like,
wasn't it? It wasn't like Mad Dog Vachon, but it was someone like that. Wasn't it some like old?
maybe it's
old
some
school
old
wrestler?
guy, and yeah,
Like
old school.
nobody.
Yeah, nobody, a
My
bum.
dad was
And
real.
then Nash was saying like, "Well, I made it to the top of the business, and I was fake. So you were real, and you didn't get anywhere. So what are you doing?" And he's like, somebody once told him, he like got a really smart quote off somebody, and he was like, "The only two things in wrestling that are real is the dates and the money." He's like,
Yeah,
everything else is
true.
totally fake. And he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, that makes total sense.
Love that shit.
We should do an episode on Kevin Nash. We should read up on Kevin Nash and come back with some of the most
Oh, yeah.
ridiculous stories that he's got like hours of material. We should also try and find a member of the Kevin Nash fan club
Oh, from that
and
meeting.
get him to call in. Have you seen
Yeah.
the photo of the
Yeah,
Kevin Nash fan
yeah.
club where they're
Brilliant.
all over the
Crazy.
age of 45?
Yeah.
Middle-aged women in
Let's
like
get
sweaters.
them to ring in and see what they reckon. Do you reckon he just railed them all? Do you reckon he just pounded them all?
Oh yeah, probably had a little back room at the Denny's. You just went through them one
Come
at
on.
a time, like a
Ne-
single.
you
file
love
queue.
you next. I would not. It wouldn't surprise me. Right, we got what we got. Kevin Nash, episode on Kevin Nash, episode on the Montreal Screwjob, episode on Benoit. Let's come back.
Stay tuned for that one.
Let's come back with some notes and talk
We'll actually research an episode.
a lot of misinformed stuff about a lot of guys that we just read off other wrestlers that are all obviously telling the truth. I sometimes think this. I watched wrestlers talking shit, and I'm like, you could just be making all of this up, and I have no idea.
Most of them are.
Like, I'd have no idea. I feel like they're all compulsive liars as they are anyway. But
what's in their job title?
Yeah, to literally to lie.
Compulsive liars.
It's crazy. But yeah,
Lovely.
Thanks for joining us on this bit of a ramble. We just kind of made it up as we went along. But
I enjoyed it.
That's where the fun comes from, isn't it, Thomas?
Always.
Right.
Always.
Nice one. Yeah, you know who we are. At the Lights Pod on Twitter. Staying at the Lights on Instagram. We write for rgm.press. We write articles every so often. Catch us on there as well. And we will see you next time.